Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to start with the chapter again, our environment, and today's topic are food chain and food web. Now, last time we were doing abiotic components. Now, continuing with the biotic components of ecosystem. Biotic components of ecosystem consist of producers. Producers, these include green plants, blue-green algae, and some bacteria which possess photosynthetic pigments and prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis. Now we know green plants are the producers. So a green plant, blue-green algae prepare their organic food themselves. They are photoautotrophs or simply autotrophs are also they are also known as autotrophs. The organic compound constitute the food not only from autotrophs but also from heterotroph. In this way, producers utilize solar energy and convert into chemical energy. The producers therefore are also termed as transducers. Second are the consumers. Consumers, they are unable to photosynthesize their food and are known as heterotrophs. So they are of following type. Number one, primary or first order consumers. These include the animal which eat plants and animal product. They are called herbivores or primary consumer. As the herbivore feed on plant products and convert them into animal matter, they are often called as key industry animals like cattle, deer, goat, rabbit, hare. Second type is secondary or second order consumers. These include the animals which feed on the flesh of herbivores. They are called primary carnivore or secondary consumers. Example, cat, dogs, foxes, etc. are secondary consumer in the terrestrial ecosystem. And water bugs, water beetle, frog, small fish are secondary consumer in aquatic ecosystem. Third is the tertiary or third order consumer. These are the large carnivores which feed on primary consumer. These are termed as secondary carnivore or third order consumers. Common example include large fish, water birds in aquatic ecosystem and whale, snake in terrestrial ecosystem. Next is quaternary or fourth order consumers. So these are the largest carnivores which feed on secondary carnivores, that is tertiary consumers. They are not eaten by other animals and are also called top carnivores. Tiger, lions, eagles, hawks are example in land ecosystem and shark, crocodiles are example in the aquatic ecosystem. Last are the decomposers. Decomposers, what they do, they degrade the dead remains of plants and animals and waste organic matter into simpler substance. They are also called as saprotrophs that we have discussed. So अगर आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछा जाता है व्हाट इज द फंक्शन ऑफ decomposers, number one, they convert the waste organic material into simple small organic molecule which they utilize themselves, and number two, inorganic substances that are released into the environment for reuse as raw material by the producers. So this was about the biotic components. Now continuing further, food chain. A food chain is the flow of food energy from one organism to the next and to the next and so on. They usually start with the producer and end with the carnivore. In a food chain, an organism gets food from one group of organisms. For example, grass, deer, lion. This is a simple food chain. So grass here is a producer which is eaten by deer, which is a primary consumer, and which is eaten by lion, which is a secondary consumer. Second example is grass, insect, frog, and snake. So here grass is producer, then insect is primary consumer, frog is secondary consumer, and snake is tertiary consumer. Okay. Next is grass, moth, frog, snake, and hog. Here grass is the producer, moth is the primary consumer, frog is the secondary consumer, snake is the tertiary consumer, and hawk is the quaternary consumer. Okay, so these are the example of the food chain. Now, food web. So, food chain you have studied the sequential interlinking of organism involving the transfer of food energy from producer through a series of organisms with repeated eating and being eaten is food chain. And food web, so food web is the interconnected, different interconnected food chain or food web. So food web is a network of food chain which become interconnected at various trophic levels so as to form a number of feeding connection amongst the different organism of biotic community. Like if you see in the figure, these are the producer, then primary consumer, then secondary consumer, then tertiary consumer, and the decomposers, right? So this is example of food chain only. And if we talk about the food web, again these are the example of food chains. You can see here, this is the primary producer, then primary consumer, then secondary consumer, then tertiary consumer, and then quaternary consumer. Okay, that we have done in food chain. We are not talking about still food web. The food chains are there. Simple food chains, again here different examples. So primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer, and quaternary consumer. So and ultimate are the decomposers. So food web, I was telling you, food web is a group of several interconnected food chains. In a food web, an organism get food from more than one group of organisms. So when बहुत सारी food chain, when they get interconnected, so they lead to the food web. Okay. So he is saying, what are the characteristics of a food web? Unlike food chain, food web are never straight. Instead, each food web is in a formed by interlinking of food chains. A food web provide alternative pathway of food availability. Greater alternatives available in a food web make the ecosystem more stable. Food web also help in checking the overpopulation of highly fecunded species of plants and animals. And food webs are also help in ecosystem development. Okay, so this was about the food web. Again, you can see a figure of food web, how many the number of food chains they are being interlinked with each other. Okay, so this is also example of food web. Trophic levels, talking about the trophic level, each step in the food chain where the transfer of food energy take place is called trophic level. The first trophic level consists of producers, and the second trophic level consists of primary consumer, and the third level consists of secondary consumer. Fourth trophic level consists of tertiary consumer. Since the transfer of food energy decreases at every trophic level, the number of trophic level are limited and do not exceed 4 or 5. Okay, so this is all about the trophic level, food chain, and food web. Okay.